Hey, what's up guys? Rev here. So the Twitter freaks are back at it again in full force. Now you probably saw the news yesterday and I will cover this in the quickest recap imaginable. So Silvervale and Vey are leaving Vshojo after they decided to not renew their contracts. So they will be independent VTubers once again. And of course, as we looked at in yesterday's video, this brought the Twitter freaks out of the woodwork to say all sorts of disparaging things about particularly Silvervale. Now today, we're going to look at some even more extreme reactions targeting Silvervale, and honestly, the Twitter freaks are really outdoing themselves with this one. So let's jump right into the wild claims. You might remember this thread from back in February. This is a returning cast member of the Twitter freak sitcom roster here. They made this wonderful thread about cis woman tears and how Silvervale exploited her white woman tears to not only hurt minorities, but also try to incite violence against trans people. Well, update, they're back with another thread about cis woman tears, and once again about Silvervale. Now, a good rule of thumb is if someone asks you, how many Twitter threads do you have about cis woman tears? And if the answer is anything other than none, you should probably be evaluated because that's a pretty strange thing. But let's read their latest updates on this. We'll start at the beginning, then we'll go down here at the good stuff in a second. But keep in touch with your trans VTuber friends for the next couple of days or so. That comfy wolf announcement is sure to be another catalyst for a hate campaign. Use, block, and report liberally. So I always love the comfy wolf. Like, say her name. Like, what is she, Voldemort or something? You can say Silvervale. It's okay. I know you're afraid of people coming and finding your tweet by searching up her name, but I'm pretty sure these get discovered anyways. But yeah, again, the same narrative of anything Silvervale does is a threat to the trans community somehow. The perpetual self-victimization on Twitter is absolutely insane. But this whole part right here, use, block, and report liberally. Like, if you did that in the first place, this situation would not have blown up the way it did. So if you didn't like the fact that someone like Silvervale or other content creators were playing Hogwarts Legacy, you should have blocked them and completely ignored the situation and stopped talking about the game. Otherwise, you have what did happen, where Silvervale gains a ton of support, the game sets sale records, and then you have people who are normally in the middle and neutral on this whole thing, siding with people like Silvervale because they're being harassed for playing a video game and they don't like seeing that, so they support Silvervale in a situation where they never would have in the first place if it wasn't for the actions of Twitter freaks. Okay, but here's the really good part. This is a real head scratcher. They go on to say, in case it wasn't clear enough before, me and what platform and space I do have support trans lives, black and indigenous lives, Jewish lives, and the lives of anyone marginalized by society over the hurt feelings of an internet celebrity. Human lives are greater than cis woman tears. That's amazing. It's always so predictable with these people. Anytime they say that I support this group or this marginalized group, there's always a but, right? There's always a but. I don't care about cis women, right? It's always amazing. Like their acceptance, their tolerance of everyone always ends with saying, based on a certain set of whether it's your gender or your sexuality, I'm going to treat you differently based on that. It's pretty crazy. Like, as mean as people like this would probably think I am, right? I can confidently say with every fiber of my being that I do not care about your race, I don't care about your gender, and I don't care about your sexuality. They are not deciding factors of how I view you as a person. I treat everyone the same. And honestly, those things have nothing to do with whether or not you're a good person. If you're a good person, your race, gender, sexuality, all those things are irrelevant to that. You're a good person, you're a good person. And that's really not me being some virtuitous good guy. It's because I just don't think those things are relevant to whether or not you're a good person. They just are, you are who you are. And then your actions beyond that are what are important. But you have people like this coming out and separating people. If you want people to be together, right? Not feel so divided. Stop being so terminally online that you can't talk about people without putting labels like their race and their gender and their sexuality onto everything they do, because it creates this division. Just treat people for who they are, and that's really all you have to do. And God forbid you come out here and say that you're going to treat people differently. You're going to treat them better or worse, or give them sympathy or not, based on their sexuality or their race or their gender. So in this case, people like Silvervale should be treated differently and less than because of who she is in terms of her sexuality, her race, or her gender. It's absolutely insane. I can't believe the people who go around calling everyone a Nazi who simply disagrees with them online would turn around and say that people should be treated differently based on these type of factors we just talked about. Crazy stuff. And then, you got people down in their replies saying, psst, capitalize indigenous, which, I would hate to be in this position where you have to walk on eggshells, where you're constantly having to worry about things like this. But honestly, the more I think about it, like, look at this. They did capitalize all of these groups except for indigenous. And it's a little weird. I don't know. We need an explanation. The public demands. We need to know what you meant by this. I expect a twit longer apology within the next 24 hours. But we move on to another person attacking Silvervale as predicted, saying Silvervale is an entitled white bitch that barely makes up for her lack of a personality with her model's gelatin boobs. Good for Vshojo. Definitely not good for Vshojo. This was not their desired result. I don't have to read their minds to know that losing both Silvervale and Vey, who are very big talents for them, is not a win for Vshojo. It simply is not. I can think of maybe 1 or 2 Vshojo members. If they left, Vshojo wouldn't really blink an eye. And that's mainly because they just don't make content anywhere near as much as the other members. But Silvervale and Vey, big loss for them. And to say she's entitled is really funny to me. She's entitled because she wanted to play a video game without being harassed. She's entitled because she felt let down because her agency left her out to dry when she was being attacked over the situation. She's entitled because she expected her fellow Vshojo members to be more active and to communicate with her more than just for business. I don't think that's entitled. I think that's a completely reasonable thing to want. And again, like the slut shaming is predictable. But again, kind of glossing over the main point here, what does the fact that she's white have to do with anything? Why are you bringing that up? Seems a bit weird, right? But based on the last 2 threads, not surprising that someone would feel the need to bring that up. And perhaps it's predictable that the witch hunting over Silvervale has only continued to get worse. So this is a thread sharing some comments going after Fruit from Vshojo. Now, people like the ones listed here are going after Fruit when she made her tweet wishing Vey and Silver good luck in their independent careers because they believe it is hypocritical because when Silvervale was being harassed over playing Hogwarts Legacy, she didn't do anything to actively defend her, and also went into the stream where Silvervale was describing being harassed and her family doxxed. She said that everybody makes mistakes while directing that towards Silvervale, and of course people are, confused by that. What mistakes did she make by playing a video game? Well, this thread was met with a reply saying, "Hey blank, someone you follow keeps defending Silvervale." Wow, it locked them up immediately. You should tar and feather them publicly to make everyone know that someone you follow had the audacity to defend Silvervale. Follow policing is the lamest thing anyone can ever do, where you see someone following a person with a differing viewpoint or is problematic, and someone feels the need to point that out publicly and say, change your behavior. Get rid of this person you're following. It is the lamest, most cowardly stuff ever. It is okay for people to disagree with one another and to have differing viewpoints. I follow plenty of people who have differing viewpoints, very differing viewpoints from my own. But we get along because it's okay, because disagreeing with people is totally fine and a part of a functioning society, by the way. And seeing someone having to actively call out a creator for following someone that simply defended another content creator who was being harassed. We're living in a very crazy time, and sadly, people give in to these demands all the time. They just want to appease angry Twitter users like this to keep their head out of controversy, and it's sad to see. It's really, really pathetic stuff. But moving on, another thread, and once again, in typical fashion, very brave by limiting the replies, really having an open and honest discussion about these topics by controlling who can actually get involved in it. So they say, still not sure. We think Silvervale is actively transphobic. A lot of her fan base is, though. And as the saying goes, if there's a Nazi at the table and 10 other people sitting and talking to him, you've got a table with 11 Nazis. And she certainly didn't mind sitting with them. That's right, Nazi by association in the Twitter universe. So basically what they're doing is pointing out bad apples being transphobic in defense of Silvervale, and of course that did exist, right? But it's a very, very, very small minority, and they don't represent Silvervale's community, very obviously, right? And this whole, if people approach you and you're surrounded by people, you become what they are. So what? If a couple of these supposed Nazis came into your thread and agreed with you, all of a sudden you're a Nazi too? Yeah, that's pretty much what was pointed out in this hidden reply, saying okay, if you think I'm a Nazi and I'm replying to you, does that make you one too by your own logic? This is the craziest, most ridiculous logic you'll ever see. Calling people a Nazi by association. When you're a very large content creator, you cannot help a few bad apples speaking on your behalf who you don't know and you don't control. It happens to any large content creator. It's completely unfair to label an entire community or a person and their community as any sort of label just because a very small minority are causing trouble. Every single community would be a problem then, right? Any large community, it is impossible to manage when you have hundreds of thousands of people talking about you or talking about your content to control every single person that there is out there. It's an unreasonable standard, and if we applied it to people like this, they would end up falling on their own sword, just as we just discussed. But moving on, this is a wild thread here, and to clarify, they are talking about fruits and people blaming, once again, fruit for not defending Silvervale. And this user says, I don't think she should be harassed. However, saying fruit shouldn't be harassed. However, to say she did nothing wrong is not accurate. If a friend of mine is being harassed by thousands of people over a meaningless thing like a video game, even if I support the trans community, I'll take my friend's side no matter what. Where this VTuber replies, I think a friend should be held accountable if they do something effed up. Personally, if I was friends with someone who did something really racist, even though I am white, I wouldn't rush to go to defend them. This isn't that much different. This isn't that much different. They are saying that buying Hogwarts Legacy and streaming it is not only effed up, it's basically the same as someone being racist and you still being friends with them. Wow. What a reach, am I right? But the original poster would reply to that by saying, I was pretty specific. Playing a video game will never be something really effed up. Never. In a world where we have our priorities in order, playing a video game will never be something that determines someone's character and values. That's insane. Where this VTuber replies, let's view it like this. It's not playing the game, it's purchasing it. It's akin to providing a Nazi with funds and support. Many people won't fully understand that their money and support are what people like that need. Their views are made justified by their money. Yes, buying a copy of Hogwarts Legacy, where J.K. Rowling did not benefit financially other than selling her IP in the first place, is akin to providing Nazis with funds and support. Yeah, again, I say this all the time. Remember when words used to mean something? In this case, Nazi is just pretty much anything at this point. I mean, what doesn't make you a Nazi these days? Absolutely crazy logic. Trying to argue with these people it's a loop. It'll give you a headache instantly, trust me. And honestly, my God, I feel sorry in a way for these people that this is the world they live in. This is the reality they live, where they truly believe all of these crazy reaches like this. It must be exhausting, right? It must be exhausting. But moving on to another lovely Twitter thread here saying, Silvervale, Turf Wolf, leaving Vshojo doesn't change much for me. My schedule is busy, so I watch via clips, and Clippers will continue to clip her streams. Hope trans femmes continue claiming her model and aesthetic for avatars and memes. At least for now. LOL, eat hair, Silver. Yeah, would you steal that last line from Bart Simpson? Eat hair. Okay. But yeah, the turf wolf, again, calling her a turf. She's not a turf. Not in any way at all. No matter how much you reach, Silvervale is not a turf. Very clear if you're objective in any way. But going on, it sounds like you weren't even a fan of Vshojo in the beginning. If you're only watching clips, that's what people call tourist behavior. But going on to say that people should claim her model. So people claim that she is appropriating trans colors with the blue and I believe the certain white colors. Her color scheme apparently with the blue and pink and whites is appropriating trans colors because trans people own colors, right? But people are saying that people should claim her model and steal it and steal all of her assets because she doesn't deserve it, that she's appropriating them by using them, which is absolutely insane. Advocating for stealing someone's model and aesthetic because you believe a certain set of colors automatically makes something belong to a group of people. Very unhinged, to say the least. But moving on to the next one, saying, gotta love the fact that Fruit is getting bashed over Silver leaving Vshojo because she reads notes, supports trans people. Meanwhile, Silver is getting nothing but sympathy, even though she refuses to listen to her trans fans and calls them freaks. Gotcha. Yeah, me when I lie on the internet, right? So the reason that Fruit is getting fairly criticized by some people has to do with the lack of support when Silvervale was getting harassed. And like I said, the comment on stream where she said everyone makes mistakes. But supporting trans people is perfectly great. Great for Fruit. But that is not the issue, as I just said. And Silver is not getting any, only sympathy. I am sitting here reading dozens upon dozens of people attacking her over the past couple days and hundreds of people attacking her in my old videos talking about everything happening back in February. She is not getting nothing but sympathy. She's getting sympathy from her fans and from reasonable people, but Twitter freaks are the ones that are going absolutely ballistic and attacking her all these months later simply because she is deciding to leave Vshojo. And of course, the rewriting of what Twitter freaks is. Twitter freaks are people, just like Silvervale said, people who harass others over playing a video game or similar behavior. Anyone who does that is a Twitter freak. If you think that automatically means trans because a lot of trans people were involved in this situation, that's a false equivalency, and you're trying to, once again, label people as an entire group or term based on the actions of only a portion of people. It's not fair, and of course this is being used to falsely label Silvervale as a transphobe once again. And more discussion, this was over a clip of Silvervale talking about her friendship with Iron Mouse, which she says, is she really a friend of mine if we only talk every 7 months? But this person, quote, retweets the clip saying, it ain't been an hour since the announcement and Silvervale is already trying to start drama. I cannot stand her. She is a grown-ass woman who never mentally matured past middle school. What is this catty stuff? Act professional for once in your life and take it on the chin. Yeah, that's right. The doubling down of the harassment campaign. Yeah, you should be harassed for playing a video game. You should be sent threats. Your family doxxed. And then your agency leaves you out to dry. Your peers do nothing to help you. And you're supposed to just take it on the chin. Yeah, that's quite the attitude. I wonder how other people would have just reacted to saying, take it on the chin, when a streamer they don't like plays a game they don't like. Maybe they should have took it on the chin and acted reasonable instead of going after people and harassing them over something like that. Just my thoughts. But one more tweet before we really move on to the final little section of this video, saying the Silvervale stuff is so funny. Once again, proving the trend that if you are a bad turf who doesn't care about other people, you will lose your friends and then go, how could this happen? And losing her job too, you'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see people lose their job. Well, she didn't lose her job. She wasn't forced out. She decided to leave on her own volition. Very successfully, I might add. She was successful before Vshojo, grew even more through Vshojo, and now has probably more support than ever, leaving there on her own accord. And again, not a turf. Please treat words like they have meaning and apply that so people will take that term seriously when it's applied to someone else. And, complaining about your agency not defending you or your fellow members not reaching out to you other than for business is a pretty valid thing to say. I think that was the whole point. She didn't lose friends. She's saying that she might not have had them in the first place with some of the members of Vshojo. But what would anything to do with Hogwarts Legacy be without replies like this, once again targeting Pikamee, calling Pikamee an incel, and then putting a rope around her neck. This is in an argument about Silvervale leaving Vshojo, and they call Pikamee an incel and make this gross image of her. Yeah, it's sad to see that the stuff with Pikamee continues, but if you want some hope, this has 20,000 views on Twitter and has 1 like. So at least that's going well. But one final thing as we go out the door here, this was an interesting situation where for a few hours people were freaking out and thinking that Kson was also leaving Vshojo based on a mistranslation to one of her replies. So Kson was replying to some comments about Vey, and the Google Translate really did her dirty. Basically, from what I've seen, what she was intending to say was that if someone does not like the benefits of a contract, Vshojo gives them the ability to not renew and move on if they so wish, and that is a good thing. But unfortunately, it translated as something completely different, saying, I don't feel the benefits of the renewed contract, so I quit. Obviously not what she was saying, and she wasn't even referring to herself in this tweet, where of course she made a quote retweet to calm people down because a lot of people were nervous that she was leaving based on that translation. And she said, oh, F, the translation is trolling me again. I mean, Vshojo is a place where you can make your own decisions with no restraint because talents own everything they have. And I think that's great because Silver and Vey can still collab with us no matter what. Basically saying if you don't like the contract terms, you have the ability to leave and make a clean break without any sort of real technical issues or being forced to continue working with them. And that's a accurate and fair thing to say. And unfortunately, due to this mistranslation, Kson was making some people nervous. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for anyone who was confused or seeing posts related to Kson potentially leaving when she's not. But that is going to do it for this video. I know it was a very long one, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there and listening, because we know whenever it comes to these topics, there's always a lot to say. So I also want you to feel free to share all of your opinions in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you next time.